It's External Storage Week on BBISHOPPCM's World. Okay. We're going to take a look at a few different backup devices or external storage devices and media, and talk about where these devices fit in the history of personal computing. One of the most common and popular external storage devices for large files and large groups of files is the iOmega zip drive. Many of you have owned these because they were in production. They were one of the last to be completely discontinued. The iOmega zip drive or zip disk could store anywhere from 100 to 250 megabytes. This happens to be a 250 megabyte disk. And they actually worked very similar to floppy disks. They used a magnetic disk inside a cassette, and in this case, the spindle motor and the head assembly was part of the external drive unit, or in some cases, the internal drive unit, because there were both external and internal versions of these. Interestingly enough, there were also a lot of interface options for the zip drives. We had SCSI, which was common for Mac users. We also had USB and parallel. Both for Windows and Mac would take advantage of the USB option. Parallel was, of course, for the Windows or DOS world. Zip drives were relatively unreliable, mainly because of low cost of manufacturing and shortcuts made during the process. What often happened to the iOmega zip drives, especially the internal 100 meg drives, is that the read-write heads would snap off. The external drives were known to be a little more robust, but they were still prone to failure. The iOmega Jazz drive, which I do not have, was a very similar device. The difference being they were known for higher capacities, up to about a gigabyte or so, and they used a hard disk. Well, they used a platter similar to a hard disk drive, mounted in a cassette, much like this one, or a cartridge. And the spindle motor, like the zip drive, was part of the drive itself. So you had a low-cost disk or cartridge that would be placed into the drive. So basically, it was more of a zip drive, only it used a more robust, solid platter. The problem with the Jazz drives is that they were notorious for wearing out and breaking down. You don't want your backup device to be a weak point. You want it to be a relatively strong point. So, iOmega replaced the Jazz drive and the zip drive with the Rev drive. The Rev drive offered much larger capacities. This happens to be a 35 gig unit, and this uses like the Jazz drive, it uses a solid disk, but the difference is the spindle motor is part of the package. These were very expensive to replace. I remember paying up towards about $100 a piece for these things. Maybe that's a little exaggerative, but they were very expensive. We use these at work for full server backups on a daily basis, and like the zip drives and the Jazz drives, these had a shutter that would open up, revealing two things. You had the actual disk itself, and the electrical connection for the spindle motor. Now this drive is obviously no good. It's been dropped a few times, but there's a glass platter in there. I believe it's glass, and you can see it on camera, and you can see the 4-pin header for the or a connector pad for the spindle motor electrical supply. These were a little more reliable, but again, they wore out because obviously when you load and unload the heads on these things, it's just not good. So as the disk is inserted into the drive, the shutter would be opened, and then the head assembly would carry its way into the cartridge and do its thing. Now, one of the biggest differences between the Jazz and the Rev units and the zip units, like hard disk drives, the heads would float over the platter on a cushion of air. On the zip drive, like a floppy drive, the heads would contact the disk directly. The benefit of having a solid disc, such as in the Rev and Jazz units, is that they can spin faster. Because the heads ride on a cushion of air, there's much less wear and tear on the disc and the heads as a unit. So they can spin faster, giving you better read-write access time and an overall better experience, until, of course, things start going south. Both of these were replaced by of course we still use these, the CD-ROM. They store 700 megabytes per disc. They're cheap, they're fast, they get the job done. And of course, DVD-RWs and DVD-Rs, etc., which have up to 8.4 gigabytes of capacity. So, but they cost very little. Okay, who would use a device like this? Well, the publishing industry was notorious for using these cartridge-based external storage devices. One particular brand that sticks in mind is the SyQuest Sparq 1 gigabyte or other variants of the drive. Now, the Sparq drives were very similar to the iOmega Jazz drives and how they were constructed. You can still buy a leftover Sparq 1 gig for $20 on eBay. Their shipping is $11.40. I'm not plugging this guy, but seller's Byron. He calls himself Byron, but he's got a lot of them for sale. So if you wanted to party like it's 1999, you can pick one of these up and roll up a fatty and store some data while listening to Outcast or Ben Folds 5. Anyway, so you might be wondering, well, I've never heard of SyQuest. Well, chances are you haven't. SyQuest was one of the bigger external storage device manufacturers. They were one of the earlier hard disk manufacturers back in the 1980s. And what happened was, in the late 90s, CD-RWs, or CD-ROMs, writable CD drives, were coming down in price. The media was getting cheaper and more reliable, and a lot of companies were ditching their external storage devices as their primary form of transferring data from one workstation to the next. Network speeds got faster. Companies invested heavily in server-based backups and storage, so the devices started to lose their popularity. SyQuest continued to manufacture their Sparq series of drives, and I believe they topped it off with a 4.5 gig unit before they finally went completely bankrupt in 1998. During the bankruptcy sale, iOmega picked up the company and some of their assets and merged them with their own products. But ultimately, Sparq, SyQuest, and their products have fallen off the face of the earth. Because there are so many unsold units, the company existed as a website for providing companies who were heavily invested in the SyQuest storage devices with brand new units and media to keep them going. And that is why we have so many brand new SyQuest Sparq 1 gig storage devices still around. That's why you can buy 62 of them from this guy, and God only knows how much from the next guy. Here's a guy selling one for $25. They're out there if you know where to look. If you really want one bad enough, you can buy one. The problem with the Sparq drives, and this is what really drew the final nail in the coffin for SyQuest and their external storage devices. The Sparq drives were notoriously unreliable. And I'm getting all my information, by the way, from a Wikipedia article, so I'm not a genius or anything. I don't know what I'm talking about. But what I do know is that when a company produces a terrible product, it tends to make waves in the tech industry and can often lead to the destabilization of the company as the bad press starts piling on. Sales go down, people start moving on to cheaper, bigger, and better things like these and that, and ultimately these. So, as companies move away from these devices, the demand goes down, the company starts to sell off real estate. You know the game. So, what does it all mean? What it means is, it means I can get a hell of a deal on 21 Sparq 1 gig cartridges for just $49.95. $49.95 can store up to 21 gigabytes of data, which is interestingly just a bit more than this thumb drive. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to see some old technology. And boy, have I got a surprise. I've got an IBM ThinkPad 390E that I just made a video of. But it doesn't end there. I've also got one of the ill-fated Sparq 1 gigabyte external drives, brand new, sealed in package for us to play with. No, I didn't buy it on eBay. I bought it from Savers, and I got it for $7. New in box, shrink wrapped, fresh from 1998, which is interestingly enough 1 year older than my old ThinkPad. And we're going to have some fun. Who wants to have some fun? You want to have some fun? I'm pointing to you. We're going to have some fun. So let's go ahead and unbox the Sparq 1 gig drive, and we're going to see what this baby can do. I'm doing a retro unboxing. Okay. Shrink wrap removed. Now let's open the box. Let's take a look at the system requirements first. It looks like it'll run on everything in my house. 486 or Pentium class, check, check. EIDE, okay, so we're doing an external. So Windows 3.1, check. Windows 95. Oh, we have Windows 98. So we're going to see if this works with Windows 98. How cool is that? I'm asking, how cool is that? I really don't know. Okay. I have Goosebumps. No, I really do. I have a whole collection of Goosebumps books, actually. Okay. Let's open this box up. Okay. Smells old. Smells like it sat in somebody's basement for 20 years. Okay. Open, you bitch. In the box, we have one parallel cable. We have one power supply with 5-pin connector. We have an owner's manual. We have software on floppy. Here's our owner's manual, the SyQuest. It's 1 gig. Well, we got all that crap. We've got a quick start guide. We've got the user's guide, the software guide, and we've got the limited extended warranty card. I should fill that out. But we really don't need the manual. Who reads the manual? And we have the SyQuest drive right here. Quality sealed, never opened, brand new from 1998. We've also got the stand that goes to it. The SyQuest drives, I think I mentioned this earlier, but they use a technology that is very similar, well, a construction method that is very similar to the iOmega Jazz drive. So this one should have the heads built into the heads and spindle motor built into the drive assembly itself. Okay, so I've got the drive out of its package. Look at this. It's actually aged. If you look at the way the plastic has discolored, look at that. You can actually see where the ribbing is. So this plastic is already aged. The rubber feet Haven't really shrunk much, but they looks like they've shrunk just a little bit from just sitting in the box. And okay, so we're going to take this, open up this drive, and remove this tag. The warning: open door and remove shipping insert before use. Good advice. So we're going to open the door and we're going to do what it says. The shipping insert. For shipping use only. Look at that. Brand new, shiny, never used. From 1998. Let's take a look inside there, and you can actually see the head and actuator assembly. It has the same actuator as a hard disk drive. It's constructed very similar internally to a standard hard disk drive. Okay. I'm sold. Alright. Next, we're going to look at the unpacking guide. Let's take a look at the disc that comes with it. We've got ourselves a 1 gig starter disc, sealed for protection. Alright, I'll move the clamshell out of the way. And we're going to take a look for the first time ever. I've never used one of these, by the way. I've never used a SyQuest drive. I've never seen one. This is actually a very first thing for me. Okay, this is what the disc looks like. Patent pending. Look at how the shutter works. Sorry about the crappy camera work, guys. But this opens up to reveal our single platter disc assembly. Look at that. Alright. Well, what we need to do now is we need to plug this thing in, and we're going to install it on the Windows 98 laptop. Alright. I'm going to grab myself grab the power supply. I'm going to turn the old Lakewood off so that way we can hear this thing run. Let's go do that. It's too loud. Too much noise. Look at that thing spin down. Man. Now that's a well-oiled machine right there. Okay, I think we're done. Alright, here we go. Gotta get some power. I don't think I'll be playing the arcade machine for a while, so I can just unplug that and plug that in there. Listen to that. 17 years sitting in its original box. This was SyQuest's last moment of brilliance. This drive was supposed to keep the company afloat, but in face of all of the competition and the general shift in the way computing was executed and data being stored, they just didn't stand a chance. In fact, the company completely folded, as far as I know, in 2009, as they were selling off the rest of their unsold equipment. So they were around for a while, you know, just staying afloat. But they didn't even make it to Windows 98. I mean, this software isn't designed for Windows 98. It was released just before 98 was. So we're going to hook up the computer cable to computer. This also has a pass-through port for a parallel printer. So when I hook it up to my Tandy, which I will do, I'll be able to hook up the printer as well. So let's get power to it. All right, here we go. Okay. We should install the software, I think, first. Here we are. Will it work? That is the question. Will it run in 98? As far as I know, I can no longer get the software. Maybe some archive sites might have it still. But let's see the install. We're not even reading the instructions. Because who has time for that? Oh, this must be the DOS driver. It's installing in a DOS box. Oh, that's never good. Oh, the drive has to be turned on, I think. Alright. It wants me to read the instructions, I think. Alright, we're going to put a disk in the Sparq drive. There we go. Oh, power switch. There we go. Spinning, I think. No, that's the laptop making that noise. Alright, let's try that again. Maybe reading the instructions might not be a bad idea. Could be some stupid step that I'm missing. Remember, this was the 90s, and a lot of software and hardware had weird installation requirements that were unusual, so. Nowadays, things pretty much just plain work. Did not complete successfully. There is no power, the cartridge is not in the drive, the starter cartridge is... Okay. Alright. Okay. Let's try this. I'm trying to eject here. I don't think this drive works. Won't even eject. I don't think the drive works. I think I got a bad one. I'm returning it to the store. Just kidding. But no, seriously, I think I got a bad drive, if you can imagine that. Just a gut feeling here. Yeah, let's try restarting. It says to install it within Windows, but let's restart. It does say restart machine, or no, it says to use add remove software to install it. So that might be a requirement. So let's just see what happens. I'm getting no response from this drive at all. I do know that the parallel port has to be, I believe, bidirectional enabled. But I've gotten nothing, no flickering lights or anything off the drive, so that's not a good sign. I got the power light, but it will not acknowledge that there's a disk in there. So That's not good. There's no manual eject option either. So I think we got a bad drive. I turn it off. Turn it back on again. I get nothing. I get nothing. Maybe the disc has to be inserted when the drive is on? Does that even make... Oh, wait, I got a flickering... There. It goes. Hear it? Oh. Wow. It sounds like shit. Okay. Alright, let's see. Oops. It was ejected. Okay, we're going to insert the disc. There we go. Oh, it sounds so wonderful. And, ooh, I have it. There it is. Removable disc D. It's got some, oh, neato. It's got a lot of crap software on it, like Howdy. And Draw Plus and Heat. Ignition! Wow, it works. And I'm installing some junk software. Freaking A, man. This is good. Now I want to show you the artwork on the box to give you an idea as to the kinds of things that they expected people to use these for back in the 90s. Because, you know, this is the history. Ooh, that sounded awesome. But look at this. So this is what Ma and Pa 90s look like. With their Mac, looks like a Performa. Look at that. Oh yes, and their son. Cool dude. I got... Really? What's playing here?
This whole thing is really about peace and love. And I'm not talking about the 60s hippie kind of peace and love that didn't work, you know. Heat, or the miracle of heat, is going to save this planet. It's going to save the world. Mushroom cloud. That's just what heat's about. If we can get on the internet and play people in China and Russia on the internet in games, then we can divert our primal urge to go over there and do it with bombs and with weapons of destruction. Hey,
you want to know what heat's all about? This is what it's all about. It's our future. It's his future. That's why we say heat now.
We bring us together. We kill each other, but we love each other. We all have Dr. Bartha and Dr. E.G. Bartha to thank for this. He started cyber
Every human brain has a reptilian complex responsible for aggression and territoriality. We need it like we need food and water. We cannot deny it, we cannot suppress it. I propose we embrace it.
This is our biofeedback center. Right here we have a subject logged on to heat.net so that we can show you exactly how heat works.
The wires are connected to the subject's reptilian complex, the part of the brain that controls the most violent tendencies. Basically, you can see as he plays the game, these signals become less erratic, meaning that the signals from the reptilian complex are becoming dispersed. The more he plays, the better he feels. We call this optimum diversion release, or ODR.
Did we expect it to become so big? I don't know. I guess, you know, we all hoped that it would. But wasn't until we had 1 million people in Central Park chanting, "Heat saves lives, heat saves lives," that we really knew what was going on here.
With heat, we don't need guns. We don't need missiles. We don't need bombs. We don't need any of that. What we need is to take our aggressions onto heat. I'll feel better. You'll feel better. The whole world will feel better.
Hi, I'm Warren Miller, live at the Masonic Temple in Vermont, where hundreds of people have shown up to exchange their guns for heat discs, so they can take their innate violent urges off the streets and onto the internet.
And today, Congress votes on a bill requiring violent offenders to spend 5 hours a day on the Heat online gaming network in an effort to make them less violent.
Today, in an historic first, Boris Yeltsin signed a declaration in support of heat. Yeltsin said he would take any future disputes with other countries onto heat.
Today, people around the world marched in celebration of banishing human conflict onto the internet on this first International Heat Day.
Today, I have played heat. And now I know today is the first day of the rest of my life. I'm going to be a better person.
Oh, if only they knew.
A happier person.
If only they knew in 1996 when this was made.
There are those of you who call me the Reverend. The Reverend Bertha. Well, let me tell you, this is not about churches and Sundays. This is about life and forever. This is about acceptance, redemption, and victory. Embracing the killer inside. Loving him and letting him be him. Letting him be him. In a painless cyber reality. So we can have a more painless, organic reality. This is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful to have. There is no such thing as good and bad. There is only this and that.
Alright. No, I don't. I'm pretty sure the Heat network is pretty much gone. Heat.net. I bet you anything that website is now owned by an HVAC contractor. But I imagine this was a big deal. Online gaming was a new thing. And it was revolutionary in 1996. Well, online graphical gaming anyway, RPGs, etc. Let's see where Heat.net takes us today. Oh, www. You gotta have that. This is IE4. This is a retro computing overload. Was I right or was I right, huh? Ha ha. Watch this. Heating and cooling, no matter how you think about it, a house is simply not a home without blah blah. Okay, so we know what that is. That was interesting. That was a pretty cool throwback there. What's in the media folder? This is all like stuff that they could throw on there to... So Sega Soft Heat. Look that up. Sega Soft Heat. Sprynet. That was an ISP, I believe. And let's see. Web VCR. Huh? Web VCR. Yeah. Okay. So the drive works. I don't think I got the full meal deal package installed, but let's give it a shot, shall we? Let's go back to our floppy disk and take a look at that. And we're going to do the Windows setup. We got the DOS driver loaded. I think we're missing some utilities, though. The Sparq utility, specifically. Oh, I see what this does. It's going to the external drive, which is humming away its first breaths of life, to retrieve the actual installer files. I bet. Listen to this thing. Sounds like an old Mac store. And set up your Sparq. By SyQuest. Folks, I do all this stuff for you because I love you, my dear loyal fans. So I go through, well, I would say I go through great lengths, but I really don't. If I see something cool at the local thrift shop, I buy it. This is one of those cool things. This is pretty neat. I have no use for this, but you know, if it gets us to see where technology used to be, maybe we'll understand where it's going. Let's install McAfee Web Scan, shall we? No. I want to install Howdy. That looks like fun. Minimum requirements. A 386 processor, Windows 95 or Windows NT, and an internet connection. Well, we have an internet connection, but I'm not sure it's going to take us where we want to go. Oh, this is an email. Send me... Oh, don't send email. Send me mail. Say howdy to the internet with the original multimedia email maker. Howdy was created by MagicBit, a division of Alta Vista. Now, there's a country not heard from for a while. Howdy creates multimedia internet postcards that can be emailed to friends and family, and how could that possibly go wrong? It's email with an attitude. It's me mail. Turn your Howdy postcard into a web page with the simple click of a button. Create multimedia messages complete with your picture, voice messages, or optional video. And remember, every computer needs a bit of magic. Not this one. Let's see what else is on there. Nova Store NovaDisk SE backup software. I don't need that. Multimedia video. What else could be on here? Is there an episode of The Simpsons on here? Wouldn't that be something? Season 1, Episode 1. Simpsons roasting on an open fire. No, that's not going to be. That's not going to be there. I'm pretty sure of that. I do want to install this on the Tandy 486, so,
Who do you trust with your life?
Nobody.
Your business life?
God, the 90s sucked. Look at that. I think I have... Oh, I had one of those. It's a compact LTE 425, I bet. And then she's got an LCD...
Your creative life.
Oh, fine. You. I was pointing stuff out. These are obsolete now.
Trust with all the important things you store on your computer.
I trust a company that goes bankrupt 1 year after this video was made.
When it matters most, people store it on a SyQuest cartridge.
Really? You want to say that in 6 months?
Award-winning SyQuest is the single most recommended and reliable storage brand in the industry.
Really? Actually, I beg to
Fast enough to get your files when and
cut
where
me
you
off.
need them.
Jerk. Hey, is that an AST? No.
And inexpensive enough to make SyQuest the price performance leader.
There's another LC2 or 3.
The things you care about deserve to be stored on a SyQuest.
That kid's probably dead from a crack overdose. I'm sorry. That's rude. Wow, look at all these babies, and they're like, this guy's probably running a tech company. This guy's probably dead. Wow. Wow. Who do I trust with my life? They make it sound like buying a SyQuest...
It's not just your
Shut
stuff.
up.
It's your life.
No, it's not. They make it sound like buying a SyQuest Sparq drive or Sparq disk is like a life-altering decision. Like buying a new car, or donating a kidney, or getting a new puppy. That's not exactly the case. In fact, you're buying one of the worst products in the world. It's like... Anyway. Alright, let's go ahead and see how this baby rolls on the 486 with Windows 3.1. I'm actually kind of curious. So I believe the proper way to kill this sucker is to eject the disk. Let's see. Sparq Master Setup, Backup Utility, SyQuest Utility. Let's try this button. I believe that launches the eject sequence. It does. Cool. Alright. Turn it off. And we're going to move to a different machine. I'm going to shut my Windows machine down. My Windows 98 laptop. My 390E. And we're going to move over to the Tandy. Here we are. Windows 3.1 pre-launched it. Alright, we're going to install the software. We're going to plug in the drive, which we've done. We're going to put the disk cartridge in. I think this has to be off to do that. Maybe not. Maybe it has to be on. Okay. Nextly, we're going to shut down the workstation. I believe that is how I got it working the first time. Check out my new Sony monitor. This was a good find. It came with a Performa that I trashed. The machine was in really bad shape, but it had a nice monitor, and so that was cool. The Sony Trinitron 15-inch, very nice display. Good, it matches the Tandy perfectly. In fact, it's a believable monitor. In other words, it could have been purchased with the Tandy, almost. All right, or at least a year or two later. I'm just gonna wait for this sucker to start up. I'm gonna pop in my install disk. Alright, open up my file manager. Sorry for the shitty camera work. Really, I am. Not really. Not entirely. But, you know, I feel it. Okay, install. Cannot run under Windows shell. Exit Windows. Alright, we can do that. What's interesting, though, is the monitor doesn't have any pincushion adjustments. I think it would. Let's fiddle with this drive a little bit more. Still not responding. Still not doing nothing. What did I end up doing? Get it to work. It just sort of started up on its own. Huh. Oh yeah, I should probably read the instructions for Windows 3.1. Let's see if there's anything special I need to do. Like turn on my head and dance. Let's see. Here we go. Exit Windows. Type A install. Follow the prompts. So recommended to install the SyQuest utilities now by selecting Install SyQuest Windows. Okay. Give it a try. Well, if the drive doesn't spin up, I don't know what I can do to make it spin up. Obviously, my options are quite limited. Oh! The drive was just loose, that's all. Just to jiggle the handle. I guess 747 starting up. Alright. Here we go. Just jiggle the handle a little bit. That's as it works. Oh, it's Drive E. Cool. We have Drive E. Okay, press a key to continue, press a key to continue, press a key to continue, yes. Press a key to continue, press a yes for continue. Jesus. Jesus. Yeah, I was right. The installation software is in fact on that starter cartridge, so I cannot erase it. Alright, so it's good to know. Why am I getting so much interference with this monitor? I'm getting like a waviness sometimes. I think it's something in my house causing interference. Could be anything. There's a lot running here. Here's another blast from the past. That's the second version. This one has a dimple. If you guys haven't seen that Steve Jobs, let's call it a documentary called The Man in the Machine, I highly recommend it. It shows the negative points and arrogance of Steve Jobs. Steve Wozniak is a god. Steve Jobs was an asshole. And the movie really accentuates that. So, yeah. But you know what? It was because of his garish personality that caused the company to succeed. So, you know, it's kind of a trade-off, you know. You have to be a bullish jerk sometimes to get things done. I don't know what this sucker's waiting for God's sakes. Sorry. I have a temper tantrum today. Why is that? What is that? Why? Why am I so tense? Anyway. It's taken forever, though. I wonder if something went wrong. Well, I'm going to pause. You know you're in trouble when the caps lock won't even go off or on. So the machine locked up, so we're going to have to do this again. Ain't it great? Here we go. So far, so sad. Unfortunately, it just keeps causing my machine to freeze. So I don't think we're going to get this to work. I've tried installing it multiple times, and it just causes it to hang. So there's that. But we know it does work. At least it works on the Windows 98 machine over there, but not so much on this old DOS clunker. I haven't really done any digging to figure out what's causing the freezer. Did I make up a new word? Freezer. It sounds like a cold version of a white guy who does psychology on the radio. That was the most dry joke I've ever made. But let's see if the driver even loaded. Now let's Freezer. Oh man, I'm so tired. It did not load. Unfortunately, Drive E is not a thing anymore. So there's that. Bitch. Had a Jesse Pinkman moment there. Bitch. Okay, sorry about that. I know who's going to complain about that one, huh? Okay. Alright, enough of that. Easy restore 386A. Oh, here we go. Let's try the setup utility. Now there's visit, 95, install, readme, setup prep, okay, well, I guess it's not going to happen for us. Aww. There must be like an IRQ conflict or some shit like that. So, I think we're going to just call it a day. And I'm going to get some much needed sleep. And, yeah, so, okay. Good night.